Hey there, it's Kathy Howes with Be Creative with Kathy. Now, I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Denver, Colorado, and I have a really cute card for you. I was working on my swaps. I'm involved in a demonstrator swap this month, and like I said, I was working on my swaps, and I thought I'll show you how to make the swaps. Now, if you're familiar with my channel, you realize I'm a day late. Usually I do my videos on Monday, but yesterday, excuse me, I had the opportunity to do a shoebox swap. And I need to apologize to somebody because they asked me where the shoebox swap was, and it's here in Westminster, Colorado. We just go to a demonstrator's house. And if you're not familiar with what a shoebox swap is, you take all of the supplies to make your card, and then each demonstrator does that, and you take turns making other people's cards. And we used a lot of the products out of the new mini catalog. So I'll show you those swaps at the end of the video. But anyway, that's why I'm here on Tuesday rather than Monday, because I was up there making cards and having fun yesterday. So now this little owl here is a Sale-a-Bration stamp set. If you're not familiar with Sale-a-Bration, let me show you some of the products that are in there. Sale-a-Bration is a reward program, I guess is what I'd call it. So for orders, depending on how big or small they are, you get free stuff out of this brochure. And the little owls here are here in US, they're $50. So if you have a $50 order before shipping and tax, you can choose like the owls for your free product. There's other stuff too, like the carrots and other stuff in there. And then this designer series paper here is another thing out of this Sale-a-Bration catalog. It's way here in the back. Here it is. So for a $100 order here in the US, you could get that designer series paper. And what I like about the designer series paper is there's 48 sheets in there. So you get 4 12 by 12 sheets of each pattern. And for, you know, when you want to make cards and you want to make a bunch of them, that's a perfect, it's just a really nice, really thick, big honkin' pad of paper. So those are the two things out of the Sale-a-Bration catalog that we're going to use. And then let me show you some other product. So it's easier, I think, to just show you here in the catalog. And I have two numbers on my brain. It's 53. So I'm going to go here to page 53. Yep, here. And this is the punch that we're going to use. We're not going to use the stamp set, but look how cute the stamp set is that coordinates with the punch. We're going to use the punch to make the swing for the little owl. And then what was the other name on, or number 39? And then we're going to use this conversational bundle. Now there again, we're not going to use the stamp set on today's card. We're just going to use these dies. We're going to use the stamp set from the actual owl stamp set for part of it. And then we are going to use a happy birthday from the go-to greetings, because as you know, that's the name of that one is perfect. When you need a greeting, you go to that stamp set for the greeting. I do want to show you though this little flower here that's part of this stamp set. Look how cute it works with those little owls. You can stamp and color that and then just put it in his little hands, and look how cute that could be for the inside of our card using that conversation bubbles stamp set here, right there, and your blends. Okay, we're going to use some other stuff, but let's go on and we will discuss. I'll show you some more ideas later. Okay, let's like I said, just go on. Blah blah blah. As you try to get talking. This is our card, so I'm going to just set it there so you can see it. The first thing I want to do is I want to stamp and let my ink totally dry. So I just have this is the inside of our card. That's a basic white 5 1/4 by 4. Now, if I say a measurement and you think, ooh, I don't think that's quite right, or because sometimes my mouth goes faster than my hands, or maybe my brain goes faster than my mouth, I don't know. You can go to my blog, becreativewithkathy.com, all the measurements and a supply list that you can just click on. See, my mouth goes faster. You click on it, it takes you straight to my online store. So if there's anything you think, ooh, I want that, you can go to my blog, click on the link. It's easy shopping from there. But there's some basic white, and then we need a basic white scrap, and then I have just a scrap here of crumb cake. Those are the three that we're going to stamp on right now using, and look, oh, here it is, it's way over here, our early espresso ink. So like I said, we're going to use the happy birthday from that go-to greetings. Let me see if I can show you that stamp set. It looks like this tons of happy birthdays in different sizes, different fonts, and then the thinking of you the same way. There's a little hello, just a note. It's a really nice stamp set, and tons of different fonts and sizes that you could use on lots of projects. I do love that stamp set, and I think it's very user friendly. So, because sometimes they're hard to get straight. We'll see. As soon as I say that, it won't get straight. Now, because I'm using a red rubber stamp, it already has that foam on there. I'm not going to worry about the photopolymer or the stamp pad, because we usually talk about that when we use the clear mount stamps, and they're not. This is red rubber, so I'm going to just take it on my surface here, set it down. I'm not pressing really hard. I don't want to smush or I don't want to ruin the image by pushing too hard on my stamp, but I'm going to let that ink sink in, and look how pretty that is. Okay, let's grab that owl now, the one with the little birthday hat. Let me show you that stamp set too. I'll set this out so you can see what I'm using from the stamp set as we go. We're going to stamp him down here in the corner, just like this. Not applying too much pressure, but holding it firm, letting that ink sink into the paper, and then looks like that. Okay, we're going to set that aside, let that dry. On this piece here, we're going to take those little words, hoot, hoot, you're so cute, and I'm going to ink that up. I think that's it's just a hair. Okay, we get cat hair, shame on it. We're going to just stamp this down in the center. Like I said, this is just a scrap. Like that. And then last, on this piece of crumb cake, which is just another scrap, I'm going to take that little owl that has the bow tie, and I'm going to ink him up really good, and I'm going to stamp him down right here. And that's all the stamping, I believe, that we have on this card. Okay, he should be nice and let the ink sink in. Now, I would, since I did a bunch of them, I would take this over to my Scan and Cut, and you could see I had my Scan and cut the other two out. Now, Scan and Cut, it's not the perfect machine. I do like mine, and I use it all the time. But as you can see here, look, sometimes he gets wonky, and he cuts the wrong place. So I only got one out of these three. But if I did a bunch of them, otherwise you could just fussy cut that. And now, when I say fussy cut, I mean just take your scissors and leave a small border. But so you don't have to watch, he's going to turn out and look like that. Okay, so now we have, I think, all of our little pieces. Let's go ahead and do some die cutting. Yeah, I think we can die cut next. Okay, I'm going to bring in my die cut machine. It's the cut and emboss machine from Stampin' Up. I'm going to cut on this piece. I'm going to use this piece too. Oh, you know what? No. I got ahead of myself. Before we do that, we need to do this piece first. That gives our paper a little bit more time to dry. So as I told you, this is that Happy Labels punch that goes with this stamp set. We're going to take a piece of cardstock here, and this is 2 3/4 inches by a 1/2 inch. And boy, I hope I'm right. And we're going to just slide it in the smallest groove, because this is one of those pick-a-punch. There's a 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and a 1 inch. All has the little groove, so you can cut all those sizes. And I'm going to slide it in all the way. Now, you can turn it over to make sure your paper's in there all the way, but in this case, I can fill it, and if it's not perfect straight, it wouldn't even matter. It's just a little scrap of paper that we're going to turn into a swing, and it doesn't have to be perfect. But again, I'm going to slide it in all the way, and then punch that, and now we have, look at those cute little ends on our paper that'll make it look like a swing, a bench, a plank. There we go, plank. Okay, now we need to bring in the cut and emboss machine. Because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my timber embossing folder. You can find this in the annual catalog, or like I said, on my online store. But with our cut and emboss machine, using only platform number 1 and plate number 4, I'm going to take that little bitty piece of paper that I have lost now, there he is, and just lay him in here on my folder, and then run that through the machine, and it's going to give that nice dry embossing on there. done with that, Matt. Let's take this out. Look how cute now. See how it has that embossing on there? Ooh, that's a really good shot of that. Okay, now let's bring in the rest of our platform, because we're going to go to our thin die adapter, number 2, and then I like to keep a plate that's really chewed up on the bottom, number 3, and then I'm going to lay my paper on there and bring in, remember those conversation dies that we talked about? We're going to bring in this one right here. This is also where you found that little flower. I found that little flower die that goes with the stamp set. Look, you can even cut 2 at a time. Oh, and while we're cutting this, thank goodness I remembered, we're going to go ahead on the little piece of Poppy Parade and cut out these little hearts right here for a little embellishment on our card at the end. And that's kind of cool because it has 2 of those little dies in the set, and then you can cut 4 at a time. So let me set this aside and then put that clear cutting plate on top. Whoops, gotta put this where we want it. Like that, look pretty good, just like that. Yep, and then let's run that through the machine. And I made sure, you know, I said to let that ink dry, because sometimes when you run it through the machine like this, that ink will come off your paper onto your cutting pad. So you have to be careful, and if you lay your cutting pad onto another piece of white paper, that ink could transfer from the cutting pad onto another piece of white paper, and we don't want that. So just beware that that's a possibility. Oh, all my hearts came out. I was gonna pounce that on the table, but look, there's all my little hearts. Let me put those back. There's the other one, so I don't lose them. And then we're gonna run that conversation bubble through one more time, now in some espresso, like this, and run that through there. Oh, wait, because it still has that white cardstock in there. Let's get that out. Has these little holes here, and then I've discovered if you take a pick tool or something and run it like this around the die, it doesn't ruin the cardstock when you take it out, and it's still, well, less wonky than normal. But then you have that piece you could use on another project. So let's go ahead and run this one through. Now we have our conversation bubble. And now I believe that's all the die cutting we need. Set that aside. We'll save this for another project. And we need that piece that's in here. So once again, I'm going to poke it out here, and then I'm going to take a pick tool and get in between and get that cardstock out without bending it and it getting all warped. There we go. Looks like that. Okay, put that aside. Now I think it's time that we color. Let me put the lid on my take a pick tool here. So I'm going to bring back in those pieces that I've stamped on. Let's see if we have all of our little pieces here. And I'm going to just start with the inside of the card. It's really simple coloring, and I just have some balmy blue. I'm going to use my dark balmy blue Stampin' Blends. I like to use the bullet tip, and I'm going to just put a little bit of red. Oh, that's not red, that's blue on his hat. And you could take and color the whole thing. I'm going to be super lazy and super quick and not do all of it. Then I have some dark Daffodil Delight here. Now Stampin' Blends, usually they come in light and a dark, and then you can color and put some shadowing on there and really make your project look authentic, I guess is the word for it. But for today's project, I'm going to do it quick and simple, and I'm going to do some very light coloring. And then this is the dark Parakeet Party. I'm going to just color a little bit around the eyes, making sure I don't get the little, I guess it's an eye bubble there, or highlighting on his eye. I want that to stay white. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of liquid glue, and right here on his hands, I'm going to just put a little tiny, maybe a little tiny dot there of liquid glue. And with my take a pick tool, go. I'm going to pick up one of those little hearts and put it right there on that glue. And then look how cute. And like I said, remember that's where you could also take that little flower, because he's really cute too with the little flower. Look how cute they are. I like the heart on this one because we're going to use the hearts on the front. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, let that dry. Bring in this little guy here. Now I want to make his eyes white like this one here. And I'll be honest with you, there's two different ways that you can do it. You can take Stampin' Up's colored pencils. Now I put all my pencils in a box, so this might be a few different assortments. But the Whisper White, I think that's what color it's called. Yeah, the Whisper White pencil. You could take and color his eyes with just a white pencil like that. Then I would of course take a blender pen and just smooth that around. But they're just not quite as white as I like them that way. Although that way might be a little faster. And if you don't have the white craft ink like I'm going to show you, that's an option. Or you could take, I got a clear block here, and I have just a refill of the craft white. Now look how old a craft white refill goes a long way. I've had mine for a long time. But one little, not even a whole drop, I'm going to just put a little bit on my block like that. And then with my water painter that's full of water, and I think this is the medium one. They come in sets of 3, and this is the medium, although it wouldn't matter, the small would work too. I'm going to press right here where you kind of push on the brush and the water comes out the tip. I'm going to add just a drip or two of water to that white ink because I want it thin but not too thin. Then I'm going to use the liquid to get my paintbrush to a good point, and then I'm going to color. Let's see how this might be a little bit too light. Yeah, I might have put, well, let's see. Nope, I think it's going to be just fine. It's really what it is like a whitewash on there, and then make his eyes. And you can see that little tiny drop that I went on there goes a long way. I could have probably done all my cards with just that half of a drop there of refill. But then look how cute. And then as that dries, it should get a little bit darker. I tried to stay in the lines, but look how stark white now my eyes are on that. Ow. I can't paint and talk at the same time. There, then I'm happy. Then I would just take this to the sink and just run some cool water over it, and the same thing with my paintbrush to clean that off. So now that we have his eyes all done, I'm going to bring in some more Stampin' Blends. I'm going to bring my light crumb cake and my dark crumb cake Stampin' Blends in, again with that bullet tip. Excuse me, oh, I got white on my table here. That's okay. I'm going to just color the tops of my little owl here. Now with Stampin' Blends, you have to be careful because if you hold it in one spot for too long, it does bleed out in the paper. So you want to make sure you do quick, short strokes when you're doing the little parts. And then up here above this ear, oh, and I'm going to sneeze. Maybe I'm not. No, I think I am going to sneeze. And we'll see what happens. Okay, and then I'm going to go along his wings here. This is again with the dark. And instead of doing the normal blending, I'm going to kind of blend in my owl and give him some different colors by just coloring different sections of the stamped image. So there we go. That's all I'm going to do with the dark. And then with the light, I'm going to come in and color this little half circle around his body here. And like I said, all this is just giving him a little bit of depth and different colors. So really I have 3 tones of the crumb cake because I have the cardstock tone, and then I have the light crumb cake and the dark crumb cake. And as that dries, it's going to be more apparent the 2 different colors in the brown. Okay, then on his little bow there, because we used Poppy Parade here, I've got a dark Poppy Parade Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to just color in his little bow. And now because I'm coloring on the craft ink, it might be a little bit different color than normal, like if you're stamping on the white, but it still does turn into a nice Poppy Parade color there. Then again with that dark Daffodil Delight, I'm going to go ahead and just color his beak again. And his little feet here. You gotta love the Stampin' Blends. They make coloring so much easier. And see how sometimes to get those little tips and corners, you just want to pounce a little bit with your marker and you can get in those little spaces. Then last, but certainly not least, we're going to get his eyes again with that dark parakeet party. And now the parakeet party doesn't look very green when you first put it on, but as it dries, it'll turn into a nice vibrant green. And then after it dries, if we're not totally happy, I'll just put a second coat on there and make it even brighter green. Okay, so now I think we're done coloring, we're done stamping. Let's go ahead and assemble our card. Except, have I lost? Nope, here it is right here. I'm going to start with this piece here. I want to make these both pop up on my card. And since this is such a thin piece, I'm going to lay this over this white. And then using my Stampin' Dimensionals, just the standard ones, on the back here, I'm going to adhere the two together. That, see how I put it on the brown and the white, and I'm really going to use a lot of dimensionals, but I want it to be sturdy and firm on that little thin frame. So in each corner, I'm going to make sure I touch the brown and the white with that dimensional, hold it together, and then I'll put one in the middle just for good measure. And then look, it's all one piece again, and when you put it on your card, it's good to go. So let's put, oh, and I got ahead of myself because I need to put the swing on first. So let's put the swing on next. So throw some dimensionals on here. Let's make our little swing. So this thing here, have you ever seen these before? These are in the annual catalog. Let me show you where you can find them. They're on page 149, and they actually come with, and they are part of the block caddy. See here? So these pieces are the inserts that you take out so you can put your blocks into the block caddy, but they work really well as a pierce mat. So I'm going to take my little punched and embossed piece of early espresso here and take a pick tool with a piercing tip, and I'm going to just puncture or poke 2 holes, one on each end of my little swing using my little pad there. So if you get the color or the block caddy, be sure and don't throw those away. They come in lots of different sizes and they are really useful to use. Then I have some of this baker's twine. Now our baker's twine comes in a pack of 5. I've used all the very vanilla. This is the last of what I have, but it comes in a variety of colors and it's called Baker's Twine Essential Pack. You know, I love that stuff too. And then to get that through those holes, I'm going to use these little, I don't know, needle threaders is what I call them. They look like this. I'll put the link below where you can get these on Amazon, but I love these things because you thread your string right through there. Before I do anything though, at the other end, I'm going to tie a knot. Not too close to the end. I think I want about a 1/2 inch down here because I want the knot, the frayed knot, I guess is what you'd call it, to show on the other. Well, I'll show you. I can't tie a knot and talk at the same time. There we go. So I'm going to tie my knot about there. And this is about 12 inches of twine. Okay, so I have my knot at the end. So I'm going to come from the bottom. I want this to be the top. I like how the embossing looks here. So this is going to be the bottom of my swing. I'm going to put my needle through there, and I'm going to pull that twine up through that hole like this. And then while my twine is on there, I'm going to just go ahead and go through this side. And now I'll be honest with you, the hardest part or the worst thing about these needles is finding them once you've used them. So I always make sure I put it back in my little package here so I don't lose them. I didn't even get it in the package. Try that again because I want to use them again and again. Okay, there we go. I think those are something you should have on your stamping desk, just in good measure. Now, after we've gone through, this is the top of our swing, this is the bottom, we need to tie another knot down here for the other side of our swing. And then it looks like this here. Now I have it in a knot. I sure do. Did I go the wrong way through my swing? No. I just had to get organized. There we go. So now our little swing looks like that. And I found that this is the easiest way to get, because we want our swing to be the same length on either side here, and I found that this is the easiest way. Now, if you find an easier way to get your swing strings, try to say that 100 times even, be sure and let me know. I'd love to hear what you have to say. But I need to put this together so I know how long I want my strings. So this is the base of our card. It's Early Espresso, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4, just your normal card base. I'm going to use my bone folder to get a nice crisp fold there. And then I'm going to just use some Stampin' Seal, which, yikes, it looks like I'm almost out, to put that flat onto the front of our card. And then while I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and take the inside of our card, which I know we stamped here. Nope, this is, I had it right here in my hand. I'm going to stamp, and put that on the inside. And look how cute now that we have that little owl with just a little bit of color on there. All that color is brought from the outside into the inside to make the inside of the card as cute as the out. Okay, so I want my swing over to the left here, about there. So I'm going to make sure when I pull this way and gather them together that I want my knot about there. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it perfect, but I'm going to try. So I'm going to kind of hold it there and then just take that and tie a simple knot here at the top and then pull it about where I want it. I want it a little bit shorter than that, so I'm going to pull it down, and now I have my swing with my strings the same size. And like I said, that the first couple of times I made my card, I had a little bit of trouble getting my strings the same length, and I think that's the easiest way. Now with some paper snips, now these I only use for ribbon. You can see I marked them with a little piece of ribbon. I'm going to just trim that up here, and I might have it a little bit too long. Too long is better than too short. And then with some glue dots on the back of my swing here, I'm going to take a pick tool again and pluck off some glue dots here, put them on the back of my little swing. Sticky little boogers, but I guess that's a good thing, right? And you noticed I only put them like toward the inside of my knots because, well, I think it looks better when it's not all flat on the card. We want a little bit of dimension there. So I'm going to take my swing here, maybe. And the cool thing about this designer series paper, it has these lines, so I could line it up, say, here. I'm not going to press down. Maybe, yep, no, that looks pretty good. So I'm going to use those lines on my designer series paper to get my swing straight on my, and see, like I said, it kind of sticks up here a little bit, but I kind of like that look with my swing. Okay, then up here I'm going to take another glue dot, and I hope you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm going to kind of fold it over and over again to get it into the shape, so it's going to kind of be the shape of my knot. Get my string kind of taut, not too tight. I don't want to stretch it, but I want to hold it so it looks like it's stretched a little bit, or at least bearing some weight. And then I'm going to shove it right there on that glue dot. Then I'm going to take my pokey end here of my take a pick tool, and I'm going to fray that knot up there. And I'm not really putting a lot of pressure because I don't want to scratch my cardstock or the card base behind here. But now look how cute that looks. And I think I'm going to leave it that length. I think that looks good. Then I'm going to do the same thing down here to these knots. And like I said, I want these to show hanging under my swing, but I don't think I want them quite that long. Let me finish up this one. This one's way too long. And then I'm going to hold those and trim them down here. Like that. And maybe trim this one down just a little so you can see that underneath my swing. Look how cute that is. Like that. Now let's put our little owl on there. Already got our dimensionals on there all ready for him. And I'm going to just set him right here on my swing and then take the dimensional backs off of that conversation die here. Bubble, conversation bubble, that's what those are called. And set that one right here, kind of at an angle. I think it looks cute just like that. And then now we need to put those little hearts on there. So with a little bit of liquid glue, I'm going to just put a little tiny dab here, and then one here, and then maybe one up here. And then again, using my take a pick tool, just take and set those. Ooh, I almost put my hand in the glue, so let's cover that glue up first. And then that one. And then last but not least, this one. So look how cute my little swaps are going to be for my card swap. Now, you know I love getting inspiration from places, so let me show you where I got my inspiration from this card. Right here in that Sale-a-Bration brochure, when I showed you those little owls, did you see this little card right here? So that's where my inspiration came. I just cased that little card right there that's in the catalog. Alrighty, that's all I have for you today. Of course, if you have any questions, be sure and leave it in the comments. I will try to answer. The measurements are on my blog, becreativewithkathy.com. I'll put that in the comments too. Thanks for watching. I hope you'll give a swing card sometime or a try, and I hope you like all my tips and ideas. Of course, if you're here on Facebook, I would really love and appreciate it if you would like my page and all the other stuff that they ask you to do. Then that way Facebook will notice me. And if you're on YouTube, if you'd like, subscribe, all of that stuff, share. I don't know what goes where, but all the support that you can give me, I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here on Monday next week. Bye-bye.